Hello, my spiritual homies. How y'all doing? Oh, are y'all ready to embrace this moment together or what? I am. So, there's a couple things that I wanted to say before I dove into this reading. The first thing I would like to do really quick is just thank Mimosa Soul Child Tarot. I think that's how I pronounce it, for the suggestion on the title of this video, because as soon as I saw her comment on the last video, I was like, oh my goodness, that's the perfect title for the next reading. The other thing I want y'all to know is that there is so little preparation realistically that goes into these videos. This is all intuitive moving. So when I sit down for a reading, I don't know what I'm about to talk about with you. I have no idea. I follow the guidance of the energy and however it comes up in the reading, and follow my intuition. So it's interesting because I feel a little bit slightly more prepared today than I normally am, because when I was sitting down and doing pulling these readings, I decided to turn on music, and the first song that came in under the Warrior Collective was so perfect that I just was like, okay, well, what else do we got to say? And then I went through the next song, and that was perfect for the next collective. And I went to the next song, and that was perfect for the next collective. So I wrote down the lyrics that stood out in these songs. And I'll tell you them when we get into your reading, but it's it's just interesting because normally I don't have any notes in this space, and today I do. So today I have at least a little bit of notes to kind of know. I mean, I already know the vibe anyway when I pull out the cards realistically. But something that is interesting is, so I had been in this space of kind of trying to follow the comprehension of why I chose the word temporal, right? Because when I saw it pop out, so just a little backstory, how I got into the name, the Temporal Taurus. Because before this, I was actually Wild Whispers, I think is what it was called. And I did a name generator actually, and the name Temporal Taurus came out when I just did like certain describing words and what it was that I was doing with this, what I was intending to do to sort of generate a name that made sense. And the interesting thing is that the temporal part never made sense to me because realistically, it's about temporary things, and in some spaces it's sort of the antithesis of spirituality, which is really funny because I'm literally moving from spirituality. But what I built into an awareness, and I built it by being in this space and doing this channel and sort of fumbling over the message that I want to deliver. And first of all, thank y'all for being here while I am fumbling over the message that I want to deliver, because I have felt so like I've been kicked off balance a few times just trying to figure out how I want to deliver messages and what I want to say. And so the interesting thing is I had thought about, like last week, I was like, oh, maybe it's like the shift in energetic alignment and that's temporary. Because someone had commented, I don't know how temporal you are. And I recognized that when they had made that comment that they didn't understand the word, because I think that they were sort of basing it on temperament and not the actual meaning of the word. And so I remember like that stood out to me, and I kind of like mulled over the word then for quite a while. And today I built into this awareness that it appears that the temporal is that I am ever evolving and sort of refusing to stay stuck anywhere that doesn't feel right. And you can see how swiftly change can occur, right? And I had always thought it was just my own indecisiveness, but I've come into this awareness recently that the more in which you work on yourself, the more rapidly change tends to occur, the more quickly you evolve. And so you can be doing a reading in the morning on a day and wanting to be in a space where you're connecting to more people, so you're doing what you think you need to be doing, and then at night you can be making supper and mulling over how healthy that was. You know, like that's how quickly change can occur. And so anyway, I'm just grateful that we're all here in this moment together. So let's go ahead and dive into the no contact reading you really need to hear. All right, y'all. We have group 1, group 2, and group 3, or as I like to call them, collective 1, collective 2, collective 3. Thank y'all so much for being here. Let's get into it. Collective 1, the warrior. Yes. We are in a moment together. Okay, so if you don't know what this reading is going to be about, it is going to be about what we are accepting for ourselves in no contact situations. Before I get into the reading, the song that came in for you actually was Oh Well by Fiona Apple. And the lyric that stood out to me was, what you did to me made me see myself something different. And know I try to talk sense to myself, but I just won't listen. And the interesting thing about the warrior card is this is a bit of a stubborn space. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few of the bull gang in here. As a Taurus, I resonate into that. But it's interesting. So within that stubborn nature that we have in this collective here is, what if we got into a space in which we were stubbornly choosing ourselves and stubbornly choosing to pivot outside of repeating cycles? Something to think about. Because I think that that's the reason that you tapped into this reading. I think the reason that you are here is so that you can be delivered a message that isn't perpetuating a continuation of you dwelling on the antithesis of choosing self. Because that's what these no contact readings realistically are. Is they're allowing us to prolong the pivot. And the pivot is choosing ourselves. And here's the thing about this, and about this cycle of being in a space of dwelling, is that until we pivot outside of it and until we do the work that is intended to be done in that space, we will find ourselves in that position in every space that we are in until we step outside of it. You are here as a reminder that you stand out in a crowd. I already know that you have a resilience to you that is unmatched. And half the time, a part of this resilience has been built almost exclusively in the fight for validation, in the fight for an outcome that finally feels like all of that hard work has paid off. And the thing is, it's like, at what point are we going to be in a space where we recognize that that work that has been being put into self can only pay off as if we put it into motion, if we discontinue being in spaces where we're wondering what they're thinking or what they're up to. Because clearly, if we're in that space and we're tapping into a tarot reading about it, then we are in an alignment with a response that is essentially guiding us away from letting go. And really, what we need to be doing is letting go. So let's go ahead and get into your message. and what you need to do in this moment. Right now, when we're in these spaces, okay? What we are doing is we are maintaining hold on. Hold up. One more, please, for the top row. Hang on to that thought. I was going to say maintaining, but then slowing kind of came out within this. And I'm going to bring out the bottom of the deck to further explain these cards down here. These are all relevant in this space. All of these are on the bottom of the deck. Anyway, so we are in the space of slowing, excuse me, slowing personal empowerment. So with the Eight of Cups here in reverse over here, right? If the Eight of Cups were in the upright, this would be a willingness to step outside of the pivot and a willingness to step into the Nine and Ten of Cups energy. It would be a willingness for us to move forward and to not look back and to really be in a space in which we are choosing ourselves. But in this moment and within these spaces of tapping into these readings, that is, what are they thinking and what are they feeling and how are they doing and what's going on? We are simply just sitting in a cycle. And the cycle that we're sitting in is it's anxiety, it's fear, it's worry, and it is realistically the opposition to empowering. Which is very interesting because this is a resilient collective and you're coming out as a warrior. But what is it that you are fighting in this moment realistically? Because it doesn't seem that we are in a space of fighting for ourselves. Instead, it seems that we are in a space of fighting to feel seen in places we don't feel seen. And realistically, this is causing an exponential amount of internal conflict. And what we're doing is distracting ourselves by tapping into these readings, by giving ourselves hope so that we don't have to face the reality of the situation, that we are intended to walk away, to pivot, and to choose ourselves. And to be in a space in which we are stabilizing, in which we are moving into a stability within ourselves where we don't ever have to be in a space in which we are fighting to feel seen. Because if we are, then we're clearly in the wrong space. Healthy people don't put us in situations where we would have to wonder what they're up to. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, group one, but oftentimes when someone isn't giving us attention, they're giving their attention elsewhere. And we just don't want to experience the hit to our ego that there may be somebody else that thinks the grass is greener on the other side. I'm not saying that there's not situations and scenarios and spaces in which someone is too fearful to meet us where we're at. Because that is true. That does exist. I've experienced connections like that as well. And I realized that in those spaces, those people that felt that way did not want me to see myself for who I was. Because they knew that in that space, there was a higher potential for me to leave them behind. You are intended to focus on yourself in this moment. You are intended to see yourself in your own authenticity. See what you are willing and capable of giving into a connection, and then give that energy to yourself. Not to this person who can't communicate with you. Not to this person who's putting you in a space of wondering what if. Because if they were dwelling on you to the capacity that you were dwelling on them, and they were able to communicate that and they were able to be vulnerable with you, then they would tell you, but they're not. So are you going to stay here and stay stuck and stay hooked on the idea of what if? Or are you going to put yourself in a space where that kind of energy could never threaten you? It could never knock you off balance. It could never put you in a space in which you don't feel good enough. And once you do that, this will come so much more easily. There won't be a question about it. You won't be in this sense of purgatory, that's what this is. Being in this space of no contact, no communication, wondering what somebody is up to is purgatory. You are in a space right now that is intended to pivot. So pivot. Start the pathway of working on yourself. Start looking within. Start digging deep and understanding why you are here. Because until you understand the why, you'll never be able to pivot outside of this space. It won't matter who you're connecting to. It'll be the same face in a different scenario every time, in which you will be fighting to feel seen. So until you can see yourself in your own authenticity and figure out why it is that you are in a space where you would rather cling to the idea of an outcome than to accept the reality of the now and what you are experiencing, and then you will always be in that space. And I think this is a moment that we are all kind of waking up to in this in this timeline. That this space of dwelling on these readings about what are their true feelings. And I don't want to knock readers. I've been supporting those readers for a very long time. So this isn't about the readers in that space. It's not about that. It's about what we are choosing for ourselves. So when we are in this space of wondering what someone else is up to, and you know what else, group one, I don't know if you resonate into this, but I've been in a space where I've turned down people for somebody who's not talking to me. And I don't know if y'all have been in that space as well, but it's been this sort of like, well, I just want to see how this is going to pan out before I go connecting in with somebody else. And I don't want to get anyone's hopes up if this other person, you know what I mean? Like, what on earth are we doing? Allowing ourselves to be second and allowing ourselves to be the opposite of chosen, and allowing ourselves to be in a space in which we're trying to get communication from somebody who isn't talking to us, while people who are more than willing to communicate with us are being sort of pushed away because what we want from the person we want it from isn't being given to us. So you're in this space in which the intent is for you to get passionate about it. The intent is for you to move into this page of wands, right? To move yourself forward and use the tenacity and the resilience that you have built in this space, and also in recognizing how far you've come and what you've been through and what got you into this moment of recognizing that what you're doing in this space right now is not healthy for you, and getting yourself in a space that you're pivoting out of it. Use that resilience to get yourself in a space where you will never question your worth in any space. And if you do, then you are in the wrong space. All right, let's get you into your oracle cards. Man, this feels like a Maya Angelou moment, I swear, man. Let's all go just read some Maya Angelou quotes today. How about it? You feel me? I love her. I saw this video once, and she was like, and I seen like the way people commented on this, but someone called her by her name, and she was like, you don't know me well enough for you to call me by my name. And I was like, damn, like her, I don't know, that just, you know, I was like, man, the amount of respect that woman had for herself. Love me some Maya Angelou, that's for sure. All right, let's get into, ooh, that energy shift right now. Yeah, it's time to do the work. And that's the thing, is that we are, you know, I think this is another thing too within this collective, is that there's certain work that we have to do on ourselves that we know is hard work. And I'll just, you know what, hang on. Let me get you one more card, and I'll just lay myself on the chopping block for you. One more. This guy was here too. And building a community makes sense. Okay, so I'll just kind of give you an example of this, and I'm going to use myself as like the example. I'm going to pull out this co-create here as well. My highest weight, so I'm 5'3". My highest weight was 240 pounds. My weight in particular has been the biggest insecurity of disconnecting me in spaces with connections, and my relationship with my body as well. You know, not that long ago, my mother and I were talking about how when I was in middle school, like, so just like starting puberty, right? I would wear knee-high socks, shorts that went down to my kneecaps. I wore boys' clothes too at that. I wore men's shorts and men's shirts. Anyway, so I would wear these shorts that were down to my kneecaps. And then I would have a tank top, which actually was, I don't know what they call it now, but when I was a kid, they called it a wife beater. And now I know that that's not appropriate anymore. But that was the kind of tank top that I would wear underneath it. And then I would have a long sleeve shirt, and then I would have a t-shirt over that. And I also would have a hat on my head. So I was covered essentially from head to toe, even in the summer. Like, this is how I would dress, that I covered every inch of my body that I could, because I had such a disconnect with my body and how I felt about it. And I never realized that until I got into a space as I got older. And, you know, she communicated that to me the other day, actually. This was a very recent conversation. And it just dawned on me in that moment, like, my relationship with my body has been in this state for a very, very, very long time. And so there's some element within ourselves that puts us into this space of feeling like we're not good enough, right? Some sort of insecurity that we have that takes hold and allows us to behave this way, where we are seeking validation in spaces that it's not occurring, and it's because of our own sense of self-worth. And man, once I built into that awareness, and I've been doing things, you know, eating fresh food and getting outside of eating processed food or eating too many chemicals, and having a yoga routine each day, and sort of being in this space of really being mindful of my relationship with my body, right? And I have recognized in this space that it is that relationship in particular for me. Now, it doesn't have to be that for you, but whatever it is for you. But that's it for me. It is my relationship with my body that gets in the way. And I felt like if I had a better relationship with my body, nobody could swindle me. You know what I mean? And I don't say it as swindle. I know that's a weird word, but nobody could knock me down a peg. Nobody could put me in a space, especially with all that I've worked on mentally and who I show up as intellectually. Ooh, you get me in a space where I like myself on an aesthetic level. Oh, it's game over, right? And I think that that's how it needs to be for all of us. Now, I think that we've built into this internal conflict for our own humble nature, right? Because if we had just been in a space where everything was handed to us, realistically, like, how would we operate on an energetic level? And how would we treat other people? And how would we, because when you're in this space, you are in a sense of fawning, right? You're a sense of caring for other people, in a sense of longing for somebody and caring about somebody who isn't even, they're not even remotely showing you that they care about you. Nothing at all in your environment indicates that they care about you. Could they potentially care about you? Absolutely. I mean, it's a good possibility that they probably, maybe they do care about you. But I would argue that if they cared about you in a capacity that realistically understood what you were going through, you wouldn't be in that space at all with that person. And so there's something within self here that is disconnecting you from being able to have healthy connections with others. And it's time to put in the work. It's time to change. It's time to pivot. It's time to manifest a new reality. That's these top 3 cards right here. Chop wood, a change in the wood, imagine. And in this space, community and co-create, this I resonate into so much because I feel like I'm in a moment where I found a collective of humans in this moment, that's all of us here, that we can lean on each other through this moment of choosing self and really moving into a space and an awareness that what is the problem in these connections and what is the problem in this moment is not the connection itself, it is the connection with self. Let's make that a fucking quote. Damn. Self pat on the back. I love when I channel in messages and they come out like that, man. They're so empowering. They're so beautiful, man. Sometimes just I feel so grateful to be in this space of being able to channel these messages to you, because sometimes even I am just floored by the stuff that comes out in these moments. That was pretty cool. I might put that on a t-shirt. All right. Last part, I'm going to get you some message cards here. Collective one. And also, I just want to say, I love y'all so much. I'm so grateful that you're here with me in this moment and you're riding this wave of life with me. I can't tell you how much your support each day is healing a part of me that I didn't even know need healed. I'm just so grateful that you're here. Okay. Messages for group 1, please. Energy flows where my intention goes. Y'all, I say that all the time, don't I? It sure does. And this is important because what we think about, we bring about. And I have discussed this, I feel sometimes until I'm blue in the face, is that idea of putting in, this popped out. I honor how I want to feel. With this energy flows where my intention goes is knowing that the resistance that we're putting into something is only creating more resistance, right? We can say all we want that we're in a space of giving love out to the other person, and then we will see that reciprocated back to us, and we very well could be. I've been in a space where I've been praying for people who don't talk to me for a very long time, and it's like, why don't I just move those prayers on, you know what, I'm just going to wish them the best, and it's a me moment. We're going to focus on myself. Or you know what, I'm going to put those prayers into the people that are there. We also move into that space as well, where we are sort of putting people around us on the back burner who are there for us in every moment, for these people who aren't there for us at all. What are we doing? Just so we can feel seen and we can feel validated and we can feel loved? Well, we are loved. There are plenty of people around us who are giving us love in every moment. And if you don't have that, well, I love you. You can stay here and we can chat and we can be in a space together where I'll give you love if you need it. And I'll communicate with you. I'll respond to your messages. Look at that. Our instant validation right there. Just talk to me. But we move in these spaces where it's like we we can put these people up on a pedestal. We can put them up higher than people in our line of vision who are kind to us and who offer us love and an unconditional space and are communicative with us and are willing to meet us where we're at already. And then we put these people up on this pedestal they don't deserve to be there. What are they even doing up there? They certainly aren't holding a candle out to us. They're not holding a hand out to us. They're not, if anything, the person that's holding the hand out is us to them. It's the other way around. Like, the person on the pedestal realistically should be you. We're done. The next card here is obstacles are detours in the right direction. This one. Exactly. And here we are with, there is a stream of love supporting my dreams. And I already read the I honor how I want to feel. I love this one. Through prayer and meditation, I create a ripple effect of peace in the world. Exactly. And this is sort of a moment of letting go too. Something that, I love the surrender. That's my favorite part of sitting down on the yoga mat, y'all, is I'll sit down and I'll just get into that space, just breathing all by itself, just being in this space of breathing into my body and doing that release all by itself, just breath work all by itself, right? Is such a surrender in and by itself. But then you put intention into that, like I release, fill in the blank. I release this connection. I release this, and I'm pivoting into fixating on myself. And if y'all are cognizant of certain journeys within connections, then okay, let's just get woo-woo for a second. We're gonna get a little bit delusional, so bear with me in this moment. But if you are cognizant and aware of sort of the twin flame journey in particular, then you know that the point of pivot is focusing on self and doing the work on self. Hang on one second. I just realized that this isn't plugged in, and I do not want to be in a space where I lose battery power. Oh, that's interesting that I just plugged in after saying that. Y'all, I'm so keenly aware of synchronicities, so I don't know if that means something. But it's like plugging you into the awareness that it's time to wake up. Here we go. I recognize I have chosen fear, and I choose again. I choose love. Yes, because being in this space. Oh, look at this. Hold on, one more thing. When I was just talking about surrender. When I think I've surrendered, I surrender more. Thank you, universal confirmation. We're here for that. High five. Anyway, with this, I recognize I have chosen fear, and I choose again, I choose love. Yes, this perpetual cycle of being in a state of dwelling and being anxious over connection, that is a fear-based space. That is not moving from love, because it might feel that way because it'll feel like we're giving love out to somebody else. But when we're doing that, we're sacrificing self. We're sacrificing the love that we should have for ourselves. And because if we were in a space that we had self-love realistically in the way that we need to have it, we would never allow ourselves to dwell on the what if of somebody who can't communicate with us. Not ever would we be in that space. And when we are tapping into these connections about the no contact situation or what are they thinking, that is exactly what we are doing. We are perpetuating the dwell. And I cannot drive this home enough that we need to get out of that space. And that's why I chose to pivot in this channel and to discontinue those connections or discontinue conversations that looked like that, and decided that we were going to sit down and we were going to get down to brass tacks and we were going to call this out for what it really is, because it's unhealthy. All right, group one, if that resonated with you and you'd like to rise up with us, like and subscribe to this channel. Leave me a comment down below. I'm so grateful that you're here. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hello, group 2. So I was burning Palo Santo for your reading, and I heard the thread of which I hangeth upon be thin. I thought that was really interesting. So the song lyrics that came in for your collective. Now, of course, I did. Look at me. I bookmarked it. Go me. Where everybody tells me it's about time that I moved on. It's River Lee by Adele. So I know that you tapped into this reading because you are in a no contact situation. And if you're new here, then you don't know that I've recently undergone a pivot in this channel on my awareness of how we view no contact situations. Now, before I get into your reading, I feel like there are messages that I probably delivered really, really well in the Group 1 collective that are going to resonate into all the groups that we all need to hear. And so I'm going to give you your reading, and then I'm going to advise you to go over there because I feel like I'll repeat things in this space, but I think I said them quite well in the Group 1 collective, and I'm concerned that I'll be able to deliver that again in the same way. We'll see though. We are in this moment together where we are waking up to the awareness that being in this space of perpetual dwelling is not healthy. In this particular collective, in this particular moment, I would say that there isn't even, what do I want to say here? I really want to dance delicately around this collective in particular because I feel like the space in which you've been hanging on to is almost more detrimental to you than it is in the other collective spaces, because the other collective spaces I think have been sort of in this moment with somebody that they're clinging on to that is the type of not okay for us that really catapulted the growth that got us into the other spaces where now we're recognizing that here we are again repeating a pattern. But in this space and in this collective, this is somebody who has wreaked havoc. And here we are, and we're in this space, and we know they've wreaked havoc, right? And we're still wondering what they're up to. Like, if that isn't all the awareness that you need, that you are capable of providing far more than you are accepting for yourself, then I don't know what is, honestly. we are moving into this movement and this awareness that until we can pivot outside of this cycle, we will continue repeating this no matter who we're dealing with. And it is being in this space in which we are not choosing self. And it's being in this space where we are essentially just prolonging the blow, right? The blow to our ego that says that we weren't enough for somebody to step up for, that we weren't enough in a space for somebody to communicate with us effectively. And more importantly, collective too, within your space, there must be an awareness built that this person does not know how to communicate with you effectively. And more importantly, if they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to move into this space of working on themselves, they would. Let me tell you something. Collective too. I've been in a connection like this one in particular that is tapping into this specific energetic alignment. And I separated from that person 2 years ago. 2 years, y'all. And that person doesn't communicate with me any differently than they did before. They are still inconsistent. I still cannot rely on them. I don't know if they're going to follow through in the space that they say they are. And when they do follow through, it's shocking. Nothing about them has changed realistically. And anything that they would be changing on externally or whatever they have going on in their world, because you know damn well they aren't communicating to me what they have going on, right? I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of it was a facade, because that's what it was when it was in the space with me. It was an illusion, because they couldn't do the work and they didn't want to. It was easy for them to find validation. And that's the thing in these types of connections too, is that the people that we are dealing with, it is so easy for them to be validated without any effort. And then here we are, and it's like that is the opposition, right? When you're in this collective, you are fighting to feel validated. And that's what it is. You're fighting to receive what you're giving to them without any effort. And here you are putting in all of the effort just to receive what you're willing to give somebody else for free. At your own expense at that. We're done with that. So this is a moment for you to pivot. Because I have a feeling this isn't the only no contact reading that you've read this week. And I don't have anything against those who do. I've been supporting readers who do this for a while, and I was right there in it for a moment too. And then yesterday, I just had this, I don't know, epiphany or something. And I realized that I was being a guide for something that's really unhealthy for us. And I cannot do that. So I would rather be a guide that helps you to recognize your individual power, your self-worth, and gets you out of this moment. All of these cards right here, y'all, is the repeating of cycles. Well, not the Queen of Cups, but this is really the Queen of Cups is being in opposition to really being able to pour from her cup, because she isn't pouring into herself. These are repeating cycles, though. The Wheel of Fortune in the reverse and the World in reverse. Those are two moments of being in this repetitive cycle. You have everything in the reverse. Everything in the reverse, right? No. Almost everything. Hold on. You have everything but the Four of Swords and the Star in reverse, which I think is very telling of this moment. The Four of Swords is a space of healing. It's a space of reflecting. It's a space of taking a rest within ourselves to determine our outcome in the future that we are anticipating for self. In the Four of Swords card, the man is in this space of rest, and looking in on him is this sort of family, right? And it's sort of this idea of a future. This is the space in which this person is essentially healing the parts of themselves in which they can show up in that space authentically and to be a loving and compassionate person that puts those people first. And we have to recognize that when we end up in this space and we are putting these people up on a pedestal that don't belong there, who is getting left behind in those moments? We are. First of all, we're leaving ourselves behind, but then also we're leaving behind those people that are giving us love without us having to work for it. And then we become sort of the same type of person to those people, to the people that are giving us love willingly, that we feel in the people that we put above us. It's all this hierarchy, right? And it's this space of recognizing here with the star that you are worthy, valuable, it's just being in this space of recognizing that we're worth more than we're accepting for ourselves. And until we get into this moment in which we pivot and we look at ourselves authentically and realistically and really face ourselves, that we are going to continue down this path. And so this is a moment for you to pivot. So we have the High Priestess in reverse. We have the Four of Wands in reverse. That's the Union card, y'all. We have Judgment in reverse. This is talking about karmic cycles, that we are in this state of repeating a negative karmic cycle. And for you to pivot outside of that, for you to get into a space in which good karma is being delivered back to you, it is, you must feel within yourself what you give to others. If you do not feel whole internally, then the only thing that can come back to you is more things to make you question your self-worth. And that is the space that we're in. If we're in no contact situations, and if we're in spaces where someone's not communicating to us effectively, if we're in a space of dwelling on what somebody else is thinking, because obviously they aren't communicating, or we would know what they were thinking. And sometimes when they're communicating, especially within certain collectives, they're lying anyway. So, and we know that intuitively. And here we are just going, I wish something would change. I wish that this would, a different outcome would occur. It's trying to control the outcome versus controlling ourselves. The way in which that we can move into a space in which there's a new outcome is when we choose differently. And the only option that you have in this scenario, realistically, collective 2, is to choose yourself and embody it, not just see it as words. Yes, I'm going to choose myself in this moment, and then Joe Schmo from Kokomo comes in with his swag or whatever, his player fucking energy, and we're like, ooh, you know, a new shiny thing to attach all of our attention to, and then he ends up in the same, and then instead of being in a space where we're listening to tarot readings on this guy, now we're listening to tarot readings on the next guy, because the pivot isn't to get into a space where somebody else is validating us, is getting into a space where we are validating ourselves so we don't need external validation. Woo! I said in the last reading that this was like or did I say it in this one? I don't know where I'm at now. At some point today, I said something about this being like a Maya Angelou moment, that I just feel like there are so many like moments where I come in, I was like, we should all sit down and like read Maya Angelou quotes today and just be like, oh yes, we are in, like, just start combating the crap that comes up. If a thought comes up about this person, just snuff it out, and you know what, let's redirect that. I actually know how to redirect thought patterns. So whenever I would have a negative thought process about myself, I would redirect it with a more true statement. So if I was like, this, you're stupid, I was like, you're not stupid. Actually, you're relatively intelligent. You just had a moment. Like, you made a poor choice here. We're not dumb. Let's be nicer to ourselves, right? And so if we can get into that space then with these connections, right? Because we do that in certain areas. If we can get into a connection where a thought process comes up and we're thinking about this, be like, you know what? I don't want to think about that. We're going to do this instead. This is a moment right now. Any moment, anytime that you think about them, write down something good about yourself that you love, or redirect that and be like, you know what? I feel this way about myself today. I'm going to do this for myself. I'm going to pivot this moment when I'm sitting here and I'm dwelling on what he's thinking or she in this moment, and I'm going to put that energy into myself and turn it back around on me. And honestly, you know what, collective too, get selfish about it. Because we have been in such a selfless space for so long within these connections that it is about damn time that we focus on ourselves. All right, let me get you your oracle cards. I used the wrong oracle cards in the last collective. Oopsie. My bad. Hey, you know what? Let's switch it up a little bit. Then I'll give you the oracle cards from that I would usually use in the group 1 space. And we'll just give you a little light in your space. I don't feel like that was without purpose, because I actually had felt like these cards wouldn't resonate into the group 2 collective because it was a little bit darker territory sometimes. And it's so interesting that then in this moment of pivot, I accidentally used the other cards, and now I'm bringing out the cards that I didn't want to use in this space because I felt like they were too much of a light. Ugh. Synchronicities, y'all. Let's get down with that. Okay. Okay. So your oracle cards here are Earthed, learning how to be human in the world but not of it. Deep cellular healing, Arcticus energy, physical and emotional healing. Forge, don't follow, pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. All of that. Trust the timing. Trust the wave you came in on. Time is not running out. Amen. The 7 Star Sisters, birthing creations, tapestry of life expression. I do feel, and so the majority of my collective is female, okay? And I just want to get into this weird moment, but I have felt that this is a soul tribe, like this is a sisterhood in this space. I felt that a few times over, where I was not anticipating in my first month of being on YouTube to receive some of the comments that I have received. And the way that y'all connect into these readings and how you communicate with me, oh my goodness, you're beautiful. Oh my gosh, you're just like the most beautiful people ever. I love y'all so much. It's insane how supportive and amazing you guys have been. It's just, I feel, man, just sometimes it trips me up. It's like, do I deserve this? Do I deserve to be in the, you know what I mean? Like you get into a space where you, like I have had to humble myself, and also I've had to be in a space that's like, yes, like we all deserve that kind of community around us. And so it's interesting with this card here, the 7 Star Sisters, because this really reminds me of sisterhood every time I see this card and it's coming out, and it's like almost being in a space where, like, let's take a break from connections a little bit. Let's take a break and go. It's, again, this time is not running out thing is really important here. And I think we get into that space, right, where we're just wanting to feel loved, but at what expense? You know, it's really at this expense of self-love. And so I feel like we're in this moment of building sisterhood or building togetherness. I know there are others in the collective that aren't women, that there are also men in this collective. It's just about like it is like 8% men in to like 92% women. Like that's what the demographic is on my channel, and I'm aware of that. So I do really feel like we are building a sisterhood here, and we are in this space of aligning into this moment together. And so if you at any point you're feeling like you're stumbling off, remember that building this, that there are, look around you anyway, you know, look at these readings, okay? What is the viewership realistically on those no contact readings? It's a lot. So you are in a whole big collective of people in this moment who are going through this, space of dwelling in spaces where we're not feeling validated within self, in spaces that we don't have the security within ourselves to recognize what we do not deserve. And it's not even about deserve. I hate that word, actually. I also hate the word hate. So I dislike the word deserve, okay? Because we all deserve this. Everybody that is existing in this moment, all of the people deserve to feel unconditional love. We all deserve that. Everybody deserves that. So we need to get into a space in which we are recognizing what that feels like realistically. And if we don't feel it within self, it's going to be very hard for us to feel it outside of self. And I think that's where this comes in with this deep cellular healing. These are deep rooted within us. There is a reason that we're in this moment. There is something, I don't think that this is new territory that we've been fighting to feel seen. I would argue that a good majority of us have probably been fighting to feel seen for a very long time. And we're fighting in this moment for somebody else to see you. Well, congratulations, baby, because I fucking see you. Now let's wake up and let's do this together, okay? I see you. So see yourself with me, okay? And let's pivot outside of this. Let's get out of this space of dwelling. Let's get out of this space of worry. Let's get out of this space where we're putting this much energy into these quote unquote connections. Because they're not connections, they're disconnections. Like, let's call them what they are. That way then we can see them differently. And let's get into connecting with ourselves. Okay. Whew, I'm sorry. I'm a little bit passionate today. Just slightly passionate. It's okay. Well, congratulations. Oh my goodness. All right, we're going to do messages from your higher self. Yeah. That was funny. Oh my gosh. I love y'all. Thank you so much for being here. Say goodbye to your past and leave the baggage behind for good. Amen to that. That's the first time I've ever seen that card come out, y'all. I've had these cards for a while. I've never seen that card. Fascinating. Life can be hard and life can be wonderful. Which will you focus on? Big facts. Make time to play, have fun, be free. You know, part of being in that feminine embodiment, which I really feel is a big underlying message that we just haven't really addressed yet, is that we're moving into this feminine era. And being in a feminine space is being in a space of receptivity where we don't have to pursue certain things because they'll just come to us, because that's the nature of being in the feminine energy. But anyway, but being present in the moment wherever you can, okay, and being in the space of getting outside of our heads, that's a masculine space realistically, and it's unnecessary in connections. It's great in specific spaces, like it's wonderful for career. Certainly use your tenacity there. It's great to be in that space where you're utilizing that to hustle or whatever. But if it's in a space of connections, you won't have to be there. You'll be in a secure space within a connection. They will feel safe. You won't have to wonder what they're up to or how they feel, because they will tell you and they will be there. Stop looking outside yourself for the answers. You already know them. Trust yourself always. Trust others once they've earned it. Big facts. And then here we go. Last one. Stop caring about what they think. This is your life to love and live. So many of these message cards, I've been dealing with these message cards for a little while. And I had said before with this deck in the past when I was using it, which I hadn't used it on this channel, but I had used it before in another space. And I was like, man, it's always the same messages coming out with this particular deck. And so I kind of got disconnected from it a little bit. And then today it's like, oh, when the narrative shifts, so do the cards, which, I mean, obviously we should know that already. But it's just interesting to see these different cards coming out. So anyway, I do still feel that there might be some messages still in the group 1 space for you that just in some ways that I laid it out like a little bit more intricately. So I would recommend going over there and just listening to that reading if you have time. But group 2, if you are ready and willing to rise up with us and you resonated into this message, please like and subscribe to this channel for more content and leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you feel about this particular no contact reading. Thank you so much for being here, Collective 2. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hello, group 3. Hello. How y'all doing? My spiritual homies. Y'all, you know what? Today, group 3, I actually feel like there's messages in each collective that we can resonate into. So if you have time to listen to the group 1 and group 2 messages, I do feel like there's some things that came through in those spaces that would really resonate into this. Y'all, in group 2, I had this moment where I was like, what did I say? I don't even know how I worded it, but it was basically like, are you tired? Are you something about fighting to feel seen? And I was like, well, congratulations, you feel seen here. And now wake up. I was just like, ooh, we're in a moment. I had told y'all before I started this reading that I had listened to some song lyrics, and yours was Jackie and Wilson by Hozier. And it's the line that stood out to me was, no better version of me I could pretend to be tonight. And I love that because I feel like it's realistically, y'all, I think it's the energy of this collective in particular that has sort of pivoted this space and this energetic alignment, because it's interesting. Like, I had consistently sort of tapped into the group 1 collective on how I was feeling in that space within a connection and within certain energetic alignment was within that space. And then it's like yesterday I did that reading on that their true feelings, you know, and it's so weird because I went into it and I was like, I didn't even really want to do it. That's the big thing, is that I didn't want to be in a space that I was doing it, A. And then I did it, and then I was in this, and then I had this whole moment of like literally just brewing over it, where I was like, I don't want to send this message anymore. I don't want to send the message of dwelling anymore. I don't want to have us in a space where we're not choosing ourselves anymore. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a guide for that. And I don't want that for myself. And I certainly don't want that for you, Collective 3. And I think it was that, you know, just witnessing the purity within this particular collective that kept tapping into this group 3 space, and how genuine you were, and how kind you were, and how compassionate you were. And it was like, why is it that these people that are so giving are in these spaces where they don't feel that reciprocated to them? Because there's some element in that space in which we are not choosing self. There's a spot in that lesson. And I think this is a big pivot for this collective. Is like, we're done. We're done being in this space. We've been here before. And we know we've been here before, because we wouldn't be in this awareness. We've learned a lot already to be able to be into this space right here, right now. And so we know in this moment that what we're choosing for ourselves is not what we should be choosing for ourselves. And y'all are in this space, in this collective, of really recognizing that it's almost like you are the prize, and really being in a space of building that awareness and being so solid within self that Nobody could infiltrate that. Nobody could put you in a space of this no contact situation and knock you off balance. It would be like, okay, obviously this isn't meant for me, because what is meant for me will communicate at my capacity. And they will understand me, and they will understand that reassurance is a language for those healing from trauma. That's not my quote. I don't know where it came from, but I've seen it before, and I always resonate with that. All right, Collective 3, let's get into your reading. Again, if you have the time to listen to the other readings, sometimes I feel like there's certain things that I can repeat really well, but it's difficult to deliver the message in the exact same way that comes channeled in. And there were channeled messages within 1 and 2 that came out really wonderfully. And I think that will be the space here for you as well. I think I might even just tell everybody, like, you know what, just sit down and listen to the whole video, because I think it's going to resonate in no matter what timeline and space you are in. You'll connect into it, I think. All right, what is the message for the Group 3 Collective? It's time to pivot. It's this new beginning. And I think that there are so many of us that are in this space. Many of us, it's interesting, I've seen the word epiphany kind of thrown around, right? And I felt like this was an epiphany. I really did. Because just the other day, right, I was in this space of already kind of questioning the layout of this channel and questioning what was going on, and feeling like I wasn't connecting to people. And I was like, and it's not that I can't handle negative feedback. It's not about that. I have some pretty thick skin, actually. But it was about that there was a message in those readings that I was not that people can hear us when they're ready to hear us, okay? But I was like sad about it a little bit, I was like, they're not understanding what I'm saying to them. And no, like that, I'm not saying that. Please don't ever accept that for yourself. Actually, like, hear me when I speak to you, And I was just kind of like, how do I connect with them? And then I thought, I had this really, at this point, I kind of think it was kind of a stupid idea, but I don't know. It was like, it was brilliant in its own right. But then I realized that it was good for some collectives, and it was not the space I needed for other collectives. And I thought about, okay, well, I'm going to communicate with them and going, if you're tapping into this awareness, you're in this specific alignment, which is perfect if you're in like the Group 1 or Group 2, Group 3 collective, right? Because your alignment was a different one. And then the Group 2 collective, the way that they were aligning in and the energies that were in with the connection that they were dealing with were really, really harmful for them. And I just felt like the way that I was delivering it was sort of, I don't know, it didn't sit well with me, because I didn't want to be in a space. I wanted to be in a space that was able to love people through whatever timeline they're in, and to be in a space of really being able to reach out to them and be like, you got this. And also, it's like that, building into that awareness right now, right? Being that for people that we're building a community with, who are receptive to us, right? Who are here because they want to hear what we have to say. They're here because they want to communicate. That alone is building in this awareness that is so rewarding. It's far more rewarding than being in a space of wondering what the hell someone's up to. That's for damn sure. And I think that y'all, right now, it's this moment, again, 2 cards that are indicating this new beginning. The World and the Death card. Multipass. Okay, sorry. You know the 5th element? Okay. And then you got Donnie Darko here showing up. 7 of Cups on the bottom of the deck. 2 of Cups in the reverse on the bottom of the deck. Ace of Coins and the Hermit. The interesting thing is that, so you see how Temperance, the Hangman, and the Hermit are in reverse? This is not without purpose. And you know why? Because Collective 3 in particular, we have been in this space of limbo. We have been in this space in which we are just holding on to hope. So much with all this faith too, that if I just give into this space, then I'll receive that back to me, and I'm just going to continue giving unconditional love. And it's giving it outside of ourselves with no expectation. Well, no, I don't know if there's no expectation, because I feel like there is. We're putting in this expectation that what we give out, we will receive. And while that is true, is it going to be in this person? Well, I don't know. Realistically, is this person able to communicate? Obviously not, But it's more so about just being in these spaces where we're giving into these connections and into these spaces in which we're not receiving any reciprocity. And that all by itself is the antithesis of choosing self. And so it's interesting that y'all have been in this space of really honing into this, like having faith, right? Where you've been having faith in this moment. And now it's kind of, I think that we all kind of just had this moment together where it's like, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm holding myself back here. I'm holding myself back in this space. I'm done. I'm done sitting here, and I'm done being in a space of dwelling. I'm done listening to 12 tarot readings about what their feelings are. I'm done. I'm just done, because you're building into this awareness that what you give, hold on, I was going to say something and I just got tripped up. You're building into this awareness that, well, yeah, it is what you give that you receive. And now we have to sort of dissect it a little bit and go, okay, what have I realistically been giving? I've been giving a lot of my energy in a space that's not being reciprocated. I've been giving a lot of validation with zero effort. And then fighting to feel validated in my own space. And so here we are, and it's like we're giving out validation freely to the opposite, to the opposition of effort, and then putting in the most effort for validation and not having it reciprocated back to us. So all of that time and that energy that we were spending putting it into other spaces and putting someone else above ourselves, realistically, is only prolonging the inevitable. And not only is it prolonging the inevitable, but it's getting us really close to repeating a cycle as well. Because if we continue down that path of putting ourselves last, and this is a collective who has done that an awful lot, then all we are going to receive is more opportunities to put ourselves last. You are in this space and in this pivot of fighting, realistically. And I know that there's a lot of people in this particular collective that, yes, you have a lot of fight in you, but at the same time, a lot of that fight has been kind of stuffed down. And a lot of that tenacity has been a little bit stuffed down, where we're in this space of sort of, it's like a grace period is what it feels like. It is having found contentment with contentment. And it's just waiting. It's a bit like purgatory, Collective 3. And so you're in this moment that it's like there is a fire being lit underneath you to fight for yourself, to fight for something, to fight for getting out of this space in which you are always putting yourself last. And recognizing that you are in this moment of building into this awareness. For some of y'all, there are some of you that have tapped into this collective where your entire identity is around being a giver and about being of service to others. That is the basis of which you have built your identity around. And so I can imagine that in this space there might be a little bit of an upheaval and a little bit of an identity crisis going on in many within this collective, where now we're looking at ourselves and going, I don't know who I am if I am not of service to somebody else. Well, be of service to yourself. You're certainly very keen on knowing how to be of service, correct? So what is it that you need? Sit down, write it down, journal. Like, y'all, I've been journaling for 6 years, and I will tell people this until I am blue in the face. That shit changed my life. Sit down and be like, what do I need for myself? And you can make baby steps. Like, today I'm going to do this one little thing for myself. And then you have put yourself first, and start there too. By the way, start your day that way. If you're a parent, get up early and get up before your children. Start in that moment. Start your day off putting yourself first. What are you going to do when you wake up that is something just for you, that nobody else can infiltrate, and that this is your time, this is your space? Because what is it that we would do when we wake up in the morning? What's the first thing that you think about realistically when you wake up in the morning? I can tell you that the first thing that I've been thinking about when I wake up in the morning, I think about you. I think about you guys. I wake up and the first thing that I do is go to the YouTube comments and look at what y'all have to say. That's the first thing I think about in the morning. And so I'm also like in a space of being of service, you know, in some capacity, and seeking out that validation, because y'all provide that to me. You provide me that validation in spades, which thank you so much, because it's really helping me through a moment. I love y'all so much. I'm so grateful you're here. But even I wake up in the morning and I'm putting something else before myself. It's like, wake up, get away from your phone, get away from anything that is like taps you into a disconnect from self, and whatever, you know, just go move directly into a space of choosing self first. Start there. That's like the baby step that you take in moving forward. And then whatever happens in terms of connections, well, in order for us to attract in people who love us, I'm beginning to find the awareness that we must love ourselves first, or we will constantly be seeking validation in every space that we are in. I'm actually not going to pull out the Quiet Tarot in this. I'm just going to do your message cards. Collective 3, y'all are the ones that seem to have quite a bit of patience. There are some really good messages that are coming out, that came out in the other readings as well, that I think were worded a little bit differently. I'm a little bit softer in this collective than I am in the others. I don't know why. It's just that it's just your energy, I think. You know, like, I understand that the nurturers are in this group in particular. So there might be some messages that come out with a little bit tenacity in the other spaces that I think would really be very important for you to hear. And it's just difficult for me to channel it twice, you know? So do take the time to go look at those. Look at that. I swear. The synchronicities, the confirmation. If you at all question energetic alignment, like the statistics of this, like me saying the word nurturer, I don't even, how many cards are in this? There's like 80 cards in this deck. And that this one card comes out. Like, what more confirmation do you need? The coincidental level on that to happen in, you know, once is okay, that'd be coincidence, but this kind of stuff, those kind of goodness, I cannot communicate in this moment. Those synchronicities happen often. You know what's interesting, okay, about the communication thing that I love is that in this collective, y'all are so communicative towards me, and you send the most uplifting and positive messages, but I get this feeling that you're also in this, it's interesting, you have this dichotomy to you, that many of you are also in a space where you, while it's easy for you to sort of pour into others and to give those thoughts of kindness and those words of encouragement, there are certain spaces where your voice shakes, and something to be really mindful of. Okay. We have the Creator. I love playing the wonderful game of life creatively. The Teacher. I study and share wisdom with those who will value it. The Actor. I know how to act properly and wisely in this situation. You know, interesting with the actor thing coming up, because I was in this moment when I was talking about y'all being in this space of waiting, is it's funny because I almost said, I was like, it kind of feels like an act. And then this came out, and so it's really interesting because I didn't want to say that. Trust yourself. And then we have the nurturer came out. I deserve to feel nurtured because I give care to those I cherish. Absolutely, 100%. This collective, you're so kind and so giving and so caring and so truly there for others that I just don't want to see y'all in a space anymore of not choosing yourself. The truthful, I speak my truth and expect everyone I care about to do so too. Yes, this seems to be to a collective that there are certain things that you're feeling, or certain things that you've wanted to communicate in certain spaces and held yourself back in. And I think these are just moments to pivot, where it's like really stepping into personal power and really putting yourself first. All right. Those are the messages that I have for you. I apologize, this is a little bit shorter of a read in here for group 3, but again, if you have the time, check into those the group 1 and group 2 messages, because I do feel like there's a lot that was said in there that would really resonate into this collective and that all of you could hear as well. If you resonated with this and you are here in this moment and you are ready to rise up with us, please like and subscribe to this channel. Leave me a comment down below. Thank you again so much for being here and riding this journey with me, group 3. Have a wonderful day.